Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 202 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. It's going to be a fun show this time, well every week I'd say is fun, I hope, but there's going to be a competition on this show. Also we're going to dive through the review and preview parts, but of course it's now time to welcome my co-host, the man himself. It is of course the elusive Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joe. Yourself?
Very good, my friend. Very good. Right, let's dive straight into the review part of the show. We're going to start here at the Fantasy Springs Casino. Last Thursday, this one was, by the way. Friend of the show, Blair Cobbs, managed to pick up a win. He remains undefeated. A 9th round KO of a scheduled 10 against the also undefeated Steve Villalobos. They both had identical records going in, 11-0 with one draw. But like I say, the victor, our good friend Blair Cobbs, very good fighter and very good personality. Also on that bill, we saw Luis Feliciano move to 13-0. He was able to beat another undefeated prospect, Gennaro Gamez. He's now 9-1. It was a unanimous decision over 10 rounds there for Feliciano. Moving out now to the Central Park Community Center in Broken Arrow, which is in Oklahoma, USA. Prospect at welterweight, I believe he's fighting at now, Jerome Ennis, 22-0, now 23-0. He actually made his opponent retire on his store after the very first round. His opponent, Franklin Mamani, 23-6 with one draw. Mamani was down in that first round. Also on the bill, Shojahan Ergashev, a guy that got a questionable win over our friend Michael Fox. He's now 17-0. It was a TKO in the fourth round against Abdiel Ramirez, who's now 24-5 with one draw. Ramirez was down in the second round, and like I say, the TKO came in round 4. And Vladimir Shishkin moved to 9-0. It was a win against DeAndre Ware, a TKO in the 8th round there for Shishkin, now 9-0, like I say. Moving out now to a bill that took place at the Takeda Teva Ocean Arena in Nagoya, Aichi, Japan. We have to mention over here, Kosi Tanaka, 14-0 now, a defense of his WBO World Flyweight title against Jonathan Gonzalez, now 22-3 with one draw. The TKO came in round 7 for Tanaka. A brilliant fighter, Tanaka. One of those small guys, one of those little guys that just doesn't get the recognition because the lower weights just don't get it for whatever reason. But I'd like to see him in there with the likes of, you know, some of the other flyweights in the world, some of the other world-level flyweights like your Andrew Selby's, like your Charlie Edwards that we'll be talking about later on in the show. And moving out now to the Centro de Usos Multiples in Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. Over here, topping the bill, Juan Francisco Estrada. He was able to get the TKO in the 9th round against Dwayne Beamon, now 16-2 with one draw. And like I say, Estrada, that was win number 40 for him, the big 40. He's got those 3 losses. It was a homecoming. It was a defense of his WBC World Super Flyweight title. He didn't look all that good in the early kind of rounds. He didn't really look that impressive. I'm not quite sure if he underestimated Beamon or whatever, but eventually he did get the knockout, and you know, he started to take over a little bit late on. I think the experience obviously was with Estrada, and it seemed to play a factor there. Also on the bill, Shakram Giasov, good amateur. He's now 9-0. It was a knockout in the very first round against Darlis Perez. It was for the WBA International Super Lightweight title. Darlis Perez, very, 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 very disappointing performance. We've seen him. He's a gutsy guy. And he got knocked out in a round, and to be honest, he got hit with a shot. It was probably about 30 seconds or something into the fight, and he gets hit with this shot, and he easily could have got back up, and he decided to stay down. So it was a bit of a quit job, actually, after just 30 seconds. So I don't really want to see Darlis Perez again, unfortunately. I feel like he really did take the easy way out there. So yeah, I don't like to see that in a boxing ring. Obviously, it's easier said than done. I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm not getting in there having a fight, but I didn't really like to see that there from Perez. I know he's got much more than that about him, and he just took the easy way out, so quite shocking there. Also on the bill, our very own Liam Smith picked up win number 28. He's got the 2 losses and the 1 draw. He took on Mario Lozano, a guy, like I say, with a decent amount of wins, 33-9 going in, but no real standout names in his wins, only standout names in his losses. He was actually TKO'd in 7 rounds, so a good win there actually for Beefy. Moving down the card once again, the bronze medalist in the 2016 Olympic Games, Filip Hrgović, now 9-0. It was for the WBC International Heavyweight title. He was able to TKO Mario Heredia in 3 rounds. Heredia now 16-7 with 1 draw. Like I say, Hrgović 9-0, ticking all the boxes. Also on the bill, John O'Carroll, friend of the show, now 17-1 with 1 draw. It was a unanimous decision over 10 rounds against Eliezer Valenzuela, 20-11 with 4 draws. Valenzuela, tough guy, not the best record, obviously, I've just said it there, but tough guy, and he kind of is one of those guys, he'll fight anyone. He looked good, I liked his hair and all the rest of it. His hair was brilliant, Jono's beard was brilliant, the fight wasn't the best, but Jono got the win and it was expected to go that way. And moving out now to the Tractor Sport Palace in Chelyabinsk, Russia. One fight to mention on the undercard actually, between Alexei Papin, who was 11-0. I think he was a kickboxing world champion. He fought for the WBC Silver Cruiserweight title against Congolese fighter Ilunga Makabu, former opponent of Tony Bellew, obviously the brother to Martin Bakole. And it ended up being a majority decision after 12 rounds in favour of the African fighter. One judge obviously had it a draw, 114-114, and the 2 other judges agreed, 115-113 in favour of Makabu. The right man won. I was happy to see that because it was a close enough fight where I think they could have probably jobbed him on the cards if they wanted to, because it was real close. But I certainly think the right man won. Makabu did score a knockdown in the fight. I can't remember what round it was. He definitely scored a knockdown, and then there was another one before that where it probably should have been a knockdown, but the referee ruled it a slip. And I was thinking, because that round has probably gone down as a 10-9 round rather than a 10-8, has that or is that going to cost him when the judges turn in their scorecards? And thankfully, it didn't really play a factor. But good win for Makabu. He certainly deserved it. And I want to see Papin again, because he's a tough guy and he's got a good tank. He probably had the better tank of the 2, and I just couldn't believe it went the distance, because Papin, I think, was 11-0 with 10 knockouts, and obviously Makabu, I think he'd only been the distance once. So both men had only been the distance once, and they're both huge punchers, and I just thought there's no way in hell this goes the distance. I thought that Makabu would get the knockout, but no, it actually went the distance, and like I say, the right man won. But no shame there from Papin. It was a big step up for him. He hasn't been a pro for too long. It was a huge step up in terms of levels there. And obviously the main event now, Ayaz, I'm going to throw it over to you first. Sergey Kovalev remains the champion, the WBO World Light Heavyweight Champion. A defense here. He's now 34-3 with 1 draw. A TKO against a very gutsy Anthony Yard, friend of the show. He loses his O, and he's now 18-1, but boy oh boy did he leave it all in the ring. Brilliant performance.
I mean, what can I say? Hats off to Anthony Yard, great fighter. To be fair, it was experience versus the younger man, and obviously this time experience won. With me, I think personally, I think Anthony Yard from the first round, you can see Kovalev was landed the jab. Second round landed the jab. Yard wasn't really doing much. To be fair, it was going one way until the 8th round. That's when Yard came out, and Yard was hitting him everywhere. You can tell that Kovalev was actually hurt in the 8th round, and I thought Yard was going to get him out. I remember in the 8th round, obviously Yard, Kovalev's trainer, going like, one more punch he lands on you, I'm pulling you out. And obviously that didn't happen. Obviously Kovalev regained his energy back. Obviously Yard from 9th round, you can tell he was really gassed out. He burnt out all that energy out in round 8 and round 10. Another Kovalev round. Kovalev was just hitting him really good. And then 11th round, you can tell Yard was fully gassed out, and then Kovalev landed that jab and knocked Yard out. I congratulate Yard very big time. He fought a guy that was basically one of the best fighters he's fought a lot of good guys and beaten a lot of very good fighters. And you got to give hats off. You got to give hats off to Kovalev as well. A lot of people thought he was going to lose. Many people thought that come fight week, a lot of people were analysing between Yard and Kovalev, and they thought that Kovalev was actually going to get stopped. And obviously, they thought he's aged, but age for me, you can tell that age did not catch up with Kovalev. But like I said, it's another win for it's a big win for Kovalev. Yard, obviously, he's going personally. But if I was him, I wouldn't have taken the fight. I would have taken the fight like 2-3 fights later, and then I reckon Yard would have beaten Kovalev. But I mean, Yard will come back. For me, I think Yard should go for European Championship and get a couple of big 10-rounders, fight at least another name, 2-3 fights and go again. And I think that's what Yard should do. Obviously, even how he said he hasn't got an experienced team. His team did very, very good. Tunde Ajayi, very brilliant coach. But I mean, you win, you lose. So in my opinion, Yard take that as a positive. Look, he's gonna come back as a stronger fighter, and I think he's gonna win a world title.
Yeah, still a young man, and he will certainly learn from that, you'd feel. I'm going to just analyse the fight round by round. I don't really do this too often, but the first round was a cagey round. I mean, my heart was racing because I was just so emotionally invested in it, knowing Yard, on a personal-ish kind of level. He's a good guy, and I was so emotionally invested. It was like Fury Wilder all over again. Like, that fight just meant the world to me, and this fight was of similar kind of importance, if you like. I really wanted Yard to win, and like I said, it was a cagey first round. Yard did seem very relaxed. I was happy to see that. I was happy to also see him let go of his own right hand a couple of times, but no one really landed anything too meaningful. I mean, Kovalev already was jabbing nicely. He didn't actually throw a right hand himself, Kovalev, and what worried me a little bit was that Yard was on the back foot for most of that first round. But again, it was good to see him throw that right hand, because you can freeze a little bit in a world title fight, or not even just a world title fight, but a big fight that you haven't been involved of anything like that before. You can freeze on the big stage, and just the fact that he was letting go of his right hand, he didn't seem afraid to commit. I found that quite encouraging. I was pleased with that, and he was sitting back a little bit too much, just trying to counter. That kind of went hand in hand with Kovalev's activity with a jab, so he won that round. The second round, it was another cagey round. I mean, Kovalev once again won the round with the jab. Yard was obviously not over there to win on points, so I didn't think he'd be too bothered. The third round, kind of the same sort of thing, really. Kovalev was too active. Yard still hadn't actually took a right hand by that point. His elusiveness was real nice, Yard. He wasn't taking too much clean, but again, Kovalev's activity won him yet another round. In the fourth round, it was more of the same, but a couple of slightly worrying moments. I think Yard took some hefty looking shots, but he took them well. He didn't seem like he was bothered too much by them, but again, after 4 rounds, I had it 4-0 in favour of the Russian, and that was the first point in the fight where Tunde talked to Anthony in the corner. A third of the way through the fight, he's lost every round, and that was the first time he started talking. Now, obviously, there's comparisons to be drawn with Chris Eubanks Sr. in the fact that Chris Eubanks Sr. barely ever says anything in the corner. He stands there. He wasn't doing that kind of stuff. I don't want to criticise Tunde because I like Tunde. Tunde is another real good guy, but you probably should be talking to your fighter in the corner. Obviously, there's that weird factor that he doesn't follow anyone on Twitter at all, just like Chris Eubanks Sr. So there's another comparison there. But, I mean, these are just silly little things. There's no real comparisons, I don't think, in terms of the way they train their fighter. And a lot of people are saying that Tunde, didn't pull him out in the end, which I'm going to get onto, but it was all because he was saving face. He cares about himself more than Anthony Yard, all this kind of stuff. That is complete nonsense, man. A lot of people saying he needs to jack him in and go and get a different trainer. Again, I think it was Danny Cassius Connor who tweets a lot of outlandish things here and there. Some of it I agree with 100%, so that's why I follow him. But Danny Cassius Connor actually tweeted out saying that Tunde has taken Anthony Yard from a total novice right up to world level. How many coaches can say that they've done that with someone who's had no amateur background really at all? So I thought that was just an amazing tweet because it's 100% true. So people that are criticising Tunde, and not criticising Anthony Yarde, actually being impressed with Anthony Yarde. Everything he's learned has come from Tunde. So let's channel the positivity both ways, really, because it is a team thing, especially in that camp there. Round 5, again, much better round from Anthony Yarde. He was finally mixing it up with Kovalev. He made Kovalev take a big shot or two, but still the work rate of Kovalev won him the round on the jab. In the 6th round, a bit of a worrying sign. Anthony Yarde, I think he was bleeding from the nose there. It was another round for Kovalev. The 7th round was a much better round from Anthony Yarde, and I was starting to think, was it all along his game plan to kind of pace himself for the later rounds? Because I always said it, I felt like his gas tank would be better than an old Kovalev. I thought that he could probably pace himself the first half of the fight and come on strong, and it looked like he was doing exactly that. He started targeting the body big time in that 7th round. He was landing lovely hooks. He probably didn't do enough to win the round, but it was very, very encouraging, seeing as it was round 7 and he hadn't even been past round 7 in previous fights. He was going into unknown territory, and especially at this level, like I say. So the first round where he had a shout of perhaps winning it was that 7th round. And then, of course, he came out in round 8, and boy, oh boy, he just poured on the pressure, and it was amazing to see it. Kovalev was on the ropes. I actually felt like the referee, I mean, he didn't jump in, but I've seen referees wave fights off, with less punishment than what we saw there. So I was just screaming my head off. I was screaming like some absolute nutcase. I was screaming at the TV, "Come on, Anthony! Go on, Anthony!" It was just amazing. And he literally had him on the verge of being stopped. And you said there, rightly so, Ayaz, that Buddy McGirt was about to throw the towel in, and Anthony just put it all on him. And again, I've seen referees stop fights like that, so I thought he was going to get the stoppage. And he obviously didn't, and Kovalev was a little bit saved by the bell. I mean, he looked to be all over the place, but the bell went at a good time. I don't think he was actually saved by the bell. Then, of course, in the 9th round, brilliant response from Kovalev. He came out and won the round like a true champion, and all of a sudden, Yarde looked absolutely spent. And it was a big turning point in the fight. In the 10th round, as we say, Yarde took such a beating in that 10th round. He was actually saved by the bell. I actually thought initially that the referee jumped in and waved it off, but actually he was separating the two fighters because the bell had gone. He had nothing left, really, Anthony Yarde. And I actually thought to myself, the towel could have came in at that point. It could have came in, but again, a lot of people after the event are saying, "Oh no, the towel should have came in, definitely." But I just felt at the time it could have came in, but we're all experts after the event, and I'm not sure I would have thrown it in if it was me, because Steve Bunce in the post-fight interview highlighted it's not like you're putting him back out for another round and he's just a boxer and he's going to box and move. He's a banger, Yarde. And we saw, this is a key factor that no one's talked about, when Anthony Yarde had Kovalev going and he was about to get knocked out, Anthony Yarde finished himself. He absolutely emptied his tank. So the next round he was spent. Whereas when the same kind of thing happened, I think Yarde took much more punishment in round 10, but it was similar-ish. He was on the verge of being stopped. I was thinking, hey, in round 11, maybe Kovalev has emptied his tank as well, So that was an interesting thing when round 11 started. And in round 11, Yarde did actually fight okay in the early parts of it, but he was fighting on pure heart. He didn't recover at all from being hurt in the 10th. He was absolutely done. Exhaustion was the main factor there, and he obviously ends up getting knocked out with a jab that he basically jumped into. So he was gone. He was on the floor. And also in that round, he got thrown on the floor by Kovalev, and he hit his back pretty hard on the canvas. He's a big lump, Anthony, and it seemed to knock the air out of him, kind of thing. I think that was another, to climb up off the canvas after being thrown down like that. That takes a bit of energy out of you. That kind of zapped him a little bit as well. He got that little zap there, and that probably played a little part in him being even more fatigued when he got knocked down. The referee jumped in. Obviously, it was a definite, a fair stoppage. I can't remember if he counted did he count it? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, he took a bit of a beating in that 11th round. It was sad to see, and I think it was Gamal Yafai tweeted out, "I can't help but think Buatsi would have stopped him in round 8." And it's like, would Buatsi have even got to round 8? Like, you can't just assume people are going to do these amazing things in the pros. He hasn't beaten anyone yet. And prior to this fight, neither had Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde proved here that he can hang with these guys. He's right up there on the world level. Our best two light heavyweights in Britain, whether you like it or not, our best two are Callum Johnson and Anthony Yarde. They've both fought for world titles. They've both had the champion going. I mean, obviously Johnson was able to put Beterbiev down on the floor, but Yarde almost had Kovalev out of there. And both men obviously ended up getting knocked out after that. But, you know, they've proved that they can hang with champions. Buatsi's yet to do that. Anyone else on that domestic scene is yet to do that. So let's just hold our horses there. Definitely Yarde has proved himself there, and he's answered a lot of questions. We know that he's got a real good chin, even though a lot of people were doubting that. And he's got a good gas tank. I actually felt like Kovalev got a second wind, whereas Anthony just had a first wind all the way through. He didn't regain anything. He just seemed to tire and tire and tire. And if a second wind would have came in the later rounds, it could have been different, but it just didn't, you know. Smart fight fought there from Kovalev. He didn't overexert himself when he was winning with a jab. He didn't try and hurt him early. It was a clever fight. Great tactics from Kovalev, and again, that post-fight interview was brilliant, where he came over and said to Anthony Yarde, he's going to be a champion for sure. That was a real touch of class there. But yeah, that's about everything with that one. We went to the predictions on it. Obviously, Ayaz, you went with Anthony Yarde to win by knockout. I went with Kovalev to win by knockout. So did the listeners. I hoped I'd be wrong, but you know, we both gain a point there, sadly. But yeah, moving out now to the final bill to review. It happened at the Burt Ogden Arena in Texas, USA. This one was on Fox Sports 1. We got to see top of the bill, friend of the show, Brandon Figueroa, move to 20-0. It was for the interim WBA World Super Bantamweight title. He got a defense there, Figueroa, against Javier Chacon, who's now 29-5 with one draw. A knockout in the fourth round for Brandon Figueroa. Again, I've said enough words on him last week. Very, very exciting. Exciting style, fan-friendly style, good guy, very humble, and he's got a bright future, and he's just blown a guy out of there once again. So big fights for him down the line, and certainly one to watch. Figueroa really on the verge of fighting for a full world title rather than keep defending his interim. But yeah, very good fighter, certainly one to watch, and congrats to him. But that's about everything for the review part of the show. Just before we wrap up part one, the last thing to do is to welcome our very first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the very best trainers that Britain has to offer. It is, of course, Mr. Peter Fury. Peter, welcome back on the show. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Just relaxing now. All the hard work's been done. Looking forward to fight night.
Absolutely. And like I say, we haven't spoken for quite a while. It's been about 17 months. I think it was just before Hughie's fight against Sam Sexton. But as the saying goes, ladies first. I want to ask quickly about Savannah Marshall. She's now signed a deal with Matchroom. Onwards and upwards, I'm guessing, for her now?
Yeah, very much so. Savannah's a fabulous talent. And we're looking forward, hopefully, getting this fight out of the way on the 31st. She's going to fight again on the Newcastle show. And I do believe Eddie's told me that's going to be a final eliminator for the world title. So she should hopefully get a world title shot, preferably this year.
Excellent stuff. And like I say, your son Hughie takes on Alexander Povetkin on Saturday. It's another massive fight for Hughie. Now, I know Hughie would fight pretty much anyone, but as his trainer, as his father, was there any hesitation from you in accepting this fight? Because there's no doubting it's a very tough one, especially for his first fight with Matchroom.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt whatsoever. You know, these are the type of fights we want. And, you know, if you want to do good things in boxing, you know, you've got to step up, and, you know, and this is Hughie's time to show the world what he's capable of, and there's no better platform to do it on. So not only was it a big announcement to go with Sky Matchroom Boxing with Hughie, we thought what a way to announce it and take one of the best fights out there. So that's what we've done.
And where is Hughie at in your mind, Peter? I mean, obviously he made the gallop to world level. I personally thought he beat Joseph Parker, but he didn't get the decision. Then he dropped down to British level and proved that he's miles above that level, really. And then, of course, he boxed Pulev. I know the circumstances with the cut before and during the fight played a big part, but obviously he came up short that night. Right now, is Hughie European level? Is he world level? Where do you believe he's at?
I believe on, let's just say, what he does on the 31st, and then everybody can make their mind up. I think he's been on a world level for a long time, and people just underestimate his ability. He is a quality boxer. He is a quality boxer, so it's going to be interesting. But he's on the world stage, and he belongs in these kind of fights. And on the 31st, this Saturday, people are going to see why.
And when Hughie signed with Matchroom, it really did take a lot of people by surprise, myself included. When he signed to Povetkin again in his first fight, people were shocked. Is there a rush to get back to world level? Because, you know, Hughie's still so young and everyone seems to forget that, probably but yourselves.
Yeah, he is so young, but let's put it this way. There's no rush to get him back anywhere. It's where he's at and if he's ready. And he's ready for the big fight. So, you know, there's no rush with a 24-year-old. So like I said, he's far ahead of his years. He's very experienced. Don't forget, he's had 25 fights. He fought for world titles, world title eliminators. He's been in some good opposition already. So he ticks all the boxes. So like I said, these are the fights where this is the level he's at, and this is why we took this fight.
And what should we expect to see from Hughie on Saturday night? I'm not asking you to divulge the game plan, but I'm guessing his most important weapon, particularly in this fight, will probably be his jab, which is a great jab.
Yeah, he's got a great jab. He's got to do a lot more. So I think we're going to a lot of rounded off with Hughie Fury. He's going to tick it. Like I said, I keep saying tick the boxes, but he's going to let his shots go a lot more. I'm going to see more of a polished fighter, you know, so there's going to be a lot more people going to see what they've not seen before in him. So, like I said, it's going to be very interesting. People's going to see how he's progressing and how much more mature he's getting in the ring.
And a win over Povetkin. What would you want next for him after that, Peter? Or are you not really looking that far ahead?
I want to look that far ahead. With these serious fights, it'd be a fool to do that. So let's get this fight out and just see where we are.
And I know that when Hughie was getting ready for Parker, you'd have watched the Parker-Andy Ruiz fight multiple times, so you probably weren't as shocked as others when Ruiz pulled off the upset against Joshua. The rematch happens December 7th in Saudi Arabia. Who wins that rematch for you, Peter?
Hughie was due to fight Ruiz before he opted to fight Parker. So we know all about Ruiz. I've known of him for quite a long while. I think he's a very, very good box fighter. You know, and like I said, he trains properly. He's a series contender. So it's like I've said, if Ruiz properly dedicates and he trains like a champion and he really wants to keep hold of the belt, then I think this fight in Saudi is a genuine 50-50 fight. It can go either way. But I think if it goes to his head a little bit and he cuts corners in training and he believes the hype that he can just blow Joshua away again, then Joshua will come away with the victory with pretty much ease. Joshua has to just focus on getting the belts back at any cost, not rather just pleasing the public. He needs to just do his own thing, and box and be sensible.
Did you happen to see any of, because you just said there about Andy Ruiz obviously having to take this fight so serious, real serious in the rematch. Did you see any of the videos from his birthday party the other day? They were quite hilarious.
I didn't.
Oh man, Peter, honestly, he had naked women with sushi all over him. It was just crazy. He's really partying hard for his birthday there. Hopefully he's training hard. Any closing words, Peter, at all, just before I let you go to our listeners? Like I say, we haven't spoke for a while. Any closing words from yourself at all?
Yeah, I hope the fans enjoy a good night of boxing, and I wish all the fighters on the bill good luck. And for every fight, the main thing is to come out healthy. All fighters are not seriously injured. That's it.
Well said, Peter. Listen, it is always a pleasure catching up with you. I truly mean that. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with Hughie on Saturday night.
No problem. All the very best.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. Ayaz, take it away.
Dave Allen will return to the ring on October the 19th on the Robbie Davies Jr. vs. Lewis Ritson fight.
Yeah, obviously fighting on the undercard. No opponent just yet for Dave Allen, but a return to the ring even sooner than David Price has returned after David Price come out the victor in that fight there. I don't know who he's going to fight. It's not going to be anyone of note, you wouldn't have thought. I honestly think he should hang up the gloves, but it is what it is. If he wants to fight, if he's healthy, then fair enough. I like Dave Allen first and foremost, but I don't want him to hang around too long with his style.
Final news that Tony Yoko will face Michael Wallace in a heavyweight clash on September 20th in Nantes, France.
Yeah, Michael Wallace, a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, was an undefeated prospect until he bumped into Christian Hammer. Christian Hammer fought him before he fought Luis Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he lost his O to Hammer. Then he went on to take a fight with Efe Ajagba, and he lost to Ajagba by knockout in 2 rounds. So that kind of showed there he's not really as good as his record looked at the time. I think he was 19-0. He's got 1 win since the Ajagba fight against a guy who was 5-4, and now he's taking on an Olympic gold medalist. Really should have been Olympic silver medalist Tony Yoka, if you remember correctly. But yeah, you wouldn't have thought he's going to really be any match for Tony Yoka, but it's another step up, I suppose, for Mr. Yoka. That's about everything, though. We've got to report the news, even if it's not too interesting.
Yep, and that's it for the news.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayaz. Right, let's get on to the competition now. This is a fun competition that we did a while back. It is a competition that I actually forgot we'd done. So basically the competition was on Twitter, and we had an entry on Instagram, but I've completely forgot who sent it in now. I know it was my guy from the Netherlands. I've forgot what he'd said. So I've lost that screenshot, but I tell you what, I'm going to give you a t-shirt because I should have remembered to get the screenshot. I know you left it on a post on Instagram somewhere, so please DM me your address. My man from Netherlands used to always comment on our YouTube. I've completely forgot his username right now, but anyway, shout out to you. You're getting a t-shirt. But the competition itself, this one was for. We did a little fun competition. It was name a boxing trainer and then name what funny/odd/unusual job they would suit if they weren't training people to fight. And we had some good ones coming. We had this one here from @TheBoxingMadman. He says, Adam Booth. I can see him being a trolley collector at Tesco's in Watford. The Boxing Madman actually called me a Matchroom fanboy the other day, so his entry's void. Also, we got from @BarryDavWhite. He said, Joe Goosen. I think he could make a career hosting holiday experiences, giving punters the chance to herd cattle authentically across the Midwest. That's a blinder there. And this one's from @Joe65396818. I think he's already got a t-shirt, but he sends in Ben Davison, lion enclosure at Chester Zoo. Short and sweet. We know that Ben Davison likes the lions. Talking of people that like lions and big cats and primates, I see a video the other day of Dmitry Kudryashov, the Russian hammer, the guy that has never gone the distance. He either knocks you out or gets knocked out. Again, in his last fight, he got stopped by Makabu. He's got a pet tiger. I saw him playing with in his living room. This one's from @Ricey_SUFC. He says, I could see Joe Gallagher being a northern Del boy working on the market selling knockoff gear. I actually think that I can kind of see. I'm going to ask you this, Ayaz. If Joe Gallagher had another job and it wasn't a boxing trainer, what would it be? Because for me, I think he'd be a good butcher, and I also think he'd be pretty fit into like owning like a removal company where he kind of helps you move into your new house carrying your sofa. I can see him doing that.
I can't see that. I can see him being a strict examiner.
Oh my lord! You know what? You're dead right. You're dead right. He marks the exam papers. Yeah, that's actually a shout there. And this one's from @Sedamama. She says Adam Booth as a. What do you think about this, Ayaz? She says Adam Booth as a salsa dance instructor.
Now I can see them do that because the way he just like sometimes like dancing around in his videos.
Oh my god! I've just got this vision now, Ayaz, of him instructing you on how to do salsa, and you can probably, because the Boxing Madman said that he's a trolley collector at Tesco's. They like to wear high-vis jackets when they're collecting the trolleys. I've just got this picture of you and Adam Booth in your high-vises doing salsa. So I tell you what. So already, my man in the Netherlands is getting one, but I'm going to give it to the first person the first person out of these two potential winners. So I like the Joe Goosen one where the punters get a chance to herd cattle authentically across the Midwest. That one was from @BarryDavWhite. If you tweet me first or inbox me or whatever at BoxHard Podcast on Twitter, you're getting a t-shirt. The other contender, Sedam Amma, that's a lady that boxes, she definitely is overdue a t-shirt. If you get back to me, Sedam, before Barry Dav White does, then you will get a t-shirt. So whoever's first, it's up to you guys. It's out of you two. So two winners on this week's competition, at Sedam Amma and at Barry Dav White. Whoever tweets me first gets a t-shirt in whichever size that you require. Also, for anyone else out there that could be listening that's got a t-shirt, send in a picture, because we send them out and we don't even hear anything back. It's just, yeah, thanks for the t-shirt. It's great to actually see it on you. You know, there was a post I did the other day. A few people left their t-shirts, their pictures in the t-shirts underneath the post. Try and look for that. Send them in. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. We're all a family here. But yeah, getting back to the preview part of the show, we're going to start here. We've only got 3 cards to go over. We're going to start here at the Bendigo Stadium in Victoria, Australia. It is Jeff Horn, Ayaz, 19-1 with 1 draw. It's for the WBA Oceania middleweight title against former Kell Brook opponent Michael Zarafa, 26-3. Could be interesting there. Not quite sure what weight. Oh no, it's at middleweight. So Zarafa against Jeff Horn. I mean, I don't know. Jeff Horn at middleweight, I just can't wrap my head around that. But Zarafa actually gave a few problems to Kell Brook, embarrassingly as it was. So yeah, that could be interesting, but certainly not worth waking up early for or staying up late for there. Moving now to the big card of the weekend. It's happening at the O2 Arena in Greenwich, London, United Kingdom. On the undercard, we've got Savannah Marshall, 6-0. She hasn't got an opponent just yet. Also on the bill for the vacant WBA International lightweight title, we've got James Tennyson, 24-3, former world title challenger. He takes on Atif Shafiq, 21-2. That's a 10-rounder there. I'm expecting Tennyson to probably get the knockout. Shafiq defensively is actually pretty good, but Tennyson's so strong at that weight, you know, at lightweight. In fact, he's moved up, actually. I think he was at super he was at super feather before, so that'd be interesting, actually. Also on the bill, we've got Joe Cordina, 9-0. He fights for the British lightweight title against Gavin Gwynn, 11-0. Somebody's must go. It's a Welsh bit of Welsh beef, I suppose, right there. Not Mexican beef, but Welsh beef over 12 rounds there. Also on the bill, Josh Buatsi, 11-0. He takes on Ryan Ford, 16-4, the Canadian fighter. I think he's in his mid-30s. He originally, a long time ago, I think he was 14-0 undefeated. He was supposed to take on Anthony Yard, and then he pulled out. And he ended up having a few losses in a row. He's really not as good as what we thought he was when he was 14-0. He's in there against Buatsi. You've got to put £100 on Buatsi to win to get £1 back. So not close in the eyes of the bookies there. Also, Hughie Fury, 23-2. Obviously, we spoke to Peter Fury earlier on in the show. He's going for another win here against Alexander Povetkin. Povetkin, 34-2. Obviously, those 2 losses have came to Joshua and to Vladimir Klitschko. So if Hughie Fury, a non-world title holder, can actually get a win over Povetkin, even if he is up in age, it's a huge statement. That one's going to be really interesting. We've actually gone to the predictions on that, Ayaz. How do you see it? Hughie Fury against Alexander Povetkin.
Oh, that's a very tough fight. But if I'm going to go with a win, I'm going to go with Hughie Fury to win by points.
I'm going to agree with you, Ayaz. I think Hughie Fury is going to probably make it boring. He's going to have to use his feet a lot. He's not going to want to let Alexander Povetkin get on the inside. He's going to have to keep moving away from Povetkin's big left hook, and I can see him just jabbing his way to a points win, actually. But the listeners are going with Povetkin by knockout. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Obviously, Hughie Fury, friend of the show. Also on the bill, Charlie Edwards, 15-1. It's the defense of his WBC World Flyweight title. He takes on Julio Cesar Martinez Aguilar, 14-1. Aguilar, obviously the guy in his last fight, knocked our very own Andrew Selby out, Ayaz. So Charlie Edwards, credit to him for taking on this guy who knocked Andrew Selby out. How do you see this one playing out? Tough fight that's gone under the radar.
I think it's a tough fight, but if I'm going to go with him, I'm going to go Charlie Edwards to win by points.
Charlie Edwards on points. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I just don't want this guy to land a similar kind of body shot that he landed on Andrew Selby, because this guy is actually coming off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stoppages in a row. So he's quite a tough guy. And the one guy that gave him a loss, it was actually on his debut. He avenged it. So you may as well say he's undefeated, you know. But yeah, Charlie's big for flyweight, and he just needs to box and move. A typical kind of Charlie Edwards performance, really. I think Charlie Edwards is very good boxing on the back foot, boxing at range, whereas Selby does sometimes like to get a little bit lazy with he's got brilliant footwork, but he likes to get a little bit lazy, get a little bit too involved sometimes, and stand there a bit square on, likes to kind of trade sometimes, and you know, it's got him in trouble. He was on the deck against Rosales doing that, but you know, he didn't fight a great fight there. He went out there, not enough time to adjust to the climate and the high sea level and stuff like that. Not really making excuses. It was a perfect shot, and it was placed brilliantly by Martinez Aguilar. So that's a tough fight there for Charlie Edwards. But topping the bill, Vasily Lomachenko Ayaz for the vacant WBC, the WBA Super, and the WBO World Lightweight titles against our very own golden boy Luke Campbell, friend of the show. 20-2 Luke Campbell. Obviously, those two losses, 1-2 to Ivan Mendy, which he came back and avenged, and the other two, Jorge Linares, in a fight that was very close. He probably just missed out because he was on the deck early. I think it was the first round, and that's probably what cost him really from winning the fight. So yeah, very good fighter, Luke Campbell. And I'm just going to say my little piece here. Luke Campbell is absolutely huge for lightweight. Lomachenko, you know, he's boxed at lightweight. He's had a little bit of trouble there with Pedraza. He had a little bit of trouble with Linares. He was on the deck himself. So Linares has put both of them down, actually, which you can't say for many fighters. But yeah, Lomachenko hasn't looked his dominant self like he was in the lower weights. You know, he's a bit small, really, for lightweight. And, you know, he's had the trouble there. Obviously, he beat Crolla with ease, but he's had the trouble with Pedraza and Linares. And I just think against, you know, a guy as technically good as our very own Luke Campbell, and because he's so big for the weight, I don't see many people talking about the size difference. The size difference is enormous. So I think it's, you know, I can't really go against Lomachenko because he is just a complete phenom, but I don't think it's going to be as wide as what people think. I think Lomachenko wins, but wins on points. In a toughish fight, I think Luke's going to have to go to Lomachenko's body, which is a great shot. He likes to go to the body, Luke, and he's a brilliant fighter. So I'd love to see him do it, but I just think Loma's going to get it on points. The listeners think that Lomachenko's going to get it. Going to get it by knockout. And also for the Edwards fight, the listeners also agree with me and you, as they're going Edwards on points. So yeah, how do you see it, Lomachenko and our very own Luke Campbell?
Well, Lomachenko's a technician when it comes to boxing. Luke Campbell's much bigger than Lomachenko, obviously, size-wise, height-wise, reach-wise. But obviously, you know, Lomachenko, he's technically gifted and like a magician, and he's a technician when it comes to boxing. So if I'm going to go with a winner, I think it's going to be a game of chess. But if I'm going to go with a winner, I'm going to have to go with Lomachenko to win by points. I think Lomachenko with his pivoting and moving, I think he's just going to outbox Luke Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that you're wrong. I hope that Luke Campbell can win, but it's a tough ask. So much so, because the people that follow the BoxHard podcast are not idiots. The people that follow us on Twitter know what they're talking about. And looking at the poll, no one, actually 0% of people went with Campbell by knockout, and only 3% went with Campbell on points. We had 62% Loma by knockout, 35% Loma on points. So that's how one-sided our followers and listeners see that fight. So that was a bit worrying seeing that. But I think it's closer than a lot of people think it will be. But again, I hope I'm wrong, but I think Loma will win on points. But yeah, it's just brilliant to have someone who is just a phenom, arguably one of the best in our generation for sure. You know, in this generation, he's just unbelievable. To have him over here on British shores is a brilliant thing. Obviously, the weigh-in tomorrow, I'm hoping to attend that one. And yeah, that one is the old Spitalfields Market tomorrow. Then obviously Fight Night on Saturday. If you can't be there, then certainly tune in because it's a decent card. But yeah, it's brilliant to have Loma over here in London. And the final bill to mention happens at the Minneapolis Armory in Minnesota, USA. It's going to be on Fox. We've got Erislandy Lara 25-3 with 3 draws. It's for the vacant WBA World Super Welterweight title. He takes on brother of Canelo, Ramon Alvarez, 28-7 with 3 draws. That's a 12-rounder there. Erislandy Lara, even though you'd have to say he's over the hill now, he's took a couple of losses, he still gives everyone trouble. And Ramon Alvarez, the last fight I saw of his is when he got stopped by Brandon Rios. I mean, I just can't see him really giving anything to trouble Lara, and I can't really believe that it's actually for a WBA world title. That's mad. I mean, I don't know what Lara's done to kind of deserve that, really. He's on the decline a little bit. I'm surprised they didn't throw some other guys in there. And again, Ramon Alvarez, what has he done? He'd been knocked out by Rios. I think that was in the last 12 months, I think. So how on earth has he got himself into position? I'll never know. But it is what it is. It is boxing. It is the WBA. We belt anyone is what some people say about the WBA. But that is it for the preview part of the show. We've done the competition. We brought you the first guest. We brought you the review. The last thing to do now to finally end it all is to welcome our second and final guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, fresh off his win last Thursday, Mr. Blair the Flair Cobbs. Blair, welcome back on the show.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure, Blair. So, of course, like I say, fresh off your 9th round KO win over Steve Villalobos. Please talk us through the fight. A real exciting one.
Yes. It was very exciting. I had tons of fun displaying my skills that night.
I mean, obviously, well, I don't know if you know this, but it wasn't televised over here, so it was very hard to see bits of it. I do want to watch it back, but for now I haven't seen it. Just if you can give us a little bit more detail on what I'm going to see, or what anyone who's listening, if they want to watch it, is going to see.
What you're going to see is an action-packed fight with Blair the Flair. I describe it as more so like a night at the theater. It's action packed with highs and lows. It's just beautiful. What you have here is me boxing brilliantly off the, in the beginning, in the early stages. Then it starts to break even, and then I get knocked down. I get knocked down in the 6th round, and then I have to battle through diversity to fight back and win a tremendous knockout performance in the 9th round.
And I did actually see the finishing shot. I mean, you caught him with a beautiful right uppercut that made him do the moonwalk, if you like, back into the ropes. So a brilliant finishing shot there. Would you say that's probably the most exciting fight you've had so far as a pro? Perhaps your favorite, even?
I think so, because it displayed a lot of heart, a lot of determination. It showed people the true nature of greatness when it comes to boxing. And I love the fact that I had the opportunity to display those abilities in those talents in the ring with such a fighter as Villalobos, an undefeated fighter.
Yeah, of course, identical records going in. Now, we last spoke back in March, so I think it was just after the Carobian fight. You also, in that time, boxed Robert Redmond. Another routine win for you, that one there?
Yeah, all 3 of those fighters are undefeated. Redman was technically undefeated too. He just was on the back end of some bad, some controversial
decisions,
judgment decisions. But that's 3 back-to-back undefeated fighters that have not only displayed tremendous skills, but displayed tremendous heart and dedication to the sport, and had an incredible show out.
And what is the plan? Because,
incredible performance.
Yeah, for sure. And what is the plan, Blair? Because you're being matched up with these guys that are, they're fellow prospects. They're kind of at similar stages of their career, still on the up. Are we going to see you perhaps in the near future with someone that has more experience than you, rather than fighting guys that are at the kind of same stage? Like I say, are we going to see you with more experienced guys in the near future?
Well, these last 3 fights were my breakout fight for the biggest breakout year. My next few fights most likely will be against people that have a lot of experience, but maybe definitely not as tough as the last 3 fighters. But I look forward to not too far from now looking on getting a world title very soon. I'm developing myself and developing my brand, developing my my character and my persona. Blair Cobbs is a must-see television special. Blair Cobbs is going to be a household name, and I look forward to putting on big shows with some of the top welterweight fighters and even higher.
And when
in the weight classes.
When do you plan to box next, Blair? Will it be once again before the year's out?
I believe so. We should have at least one more fight before the year is up. I'm still in negotiations, making sure that everything's okay, as far as my health, and then also just seeing what else is on the table. We're running out of options as far as prospects. I done demolished 3 of them.
And of course the welterweight division, has changed ever so slightly since we last spoke. It was a great fight between Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman. Manny got the win, a guy that you've admired for many years. We've also got to look forward to Spence and Porter, that one coming up soon. How do you see that fight playing out, Blair?
Oh man, I don't know. I would love to see how it play out. I haven't seen too many people that were able to test Spence. I believe this will be a really good test of his skills and his determination as a world champion. I know we already know how Shawn Porter is going to come in, and he's just going to come in with a whole lot of pressure, a whole lot of power. But I love to see what's going to happen. Me personally, I think that Spence might edge him out with technique and boxing ability. And he's going to, me personally, I think in my mind that he's going to try to create distance by backing up and landing nice, solid counter punches to stop Porter from just lunging in and creating mayhem like he always do.
And I'm not trying to press you to call anyone out or anything, but have you got any kind of names on your radar right now for guys that you want to fight in the near future? It doesn't have to be next; it can be within the next 12 months. Anyone at all?
I look forward to fighting any one of those fighters that we just spoke about. Even Pacquiao, I look forward to fighting any of those top fighters, those top champions in the near future. I look forward to fighting anybody that's in the top 10. I don't really have any names, but all of them are a target for me.
And I want to ask you, Blair, what do you get up to in your spare time? I see a little clip earlier of you playing the guitar. You enjoy playing the guitar. What songs can you play on the guitar?
Oh man, I play a lot of songs, and my genre kind of is pretty rangy. I love rock and roll. I love alternative. I love all kinds of music. I even play a couple little hip hop songs here and there, like Drake and stuff like that. I play a lot of things. Can you do the Narcos theme tune? Yeah, I could probably do that. I can literally pretty much play anything I want to play, honestly. Like I'm to that point where I could play almost anything. As long as I got enough time to actually practice, I could play pretty much anything I want. I like Stairway to Heaven. Sounds great on a guitar. That if you can do that, that's impressive. Yeah, I play that. I can definitely play that. Next time we do an interview, I'm looking to hear that one from you, Blair. Definitely. One of my favorite songs is from Leonard Skinner, called "Simple Man." Okay. That's a beautiful song. I love that song. Oh man. Yeah. I love Hurt from Johnny Cash, the Johnny Cash version of Hurt. That's a beautiful song. I love all music. Definitely. But I'm very much in love with the old singers and songwriters back in the day. Like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix.
Oh,
I love them all.
You're naming all the old is gold. You're naming some brilliant musicians there. But definitely next time.
Yeah, that's when.
Next time I want to hear some of this.
That was
Blair,
the
for
golden
sure.
year. Oh, for sure.
But listen, Blair, just before I let you go, my friend, I want to give you an opportunity just to send out a final message to your UK supporters over here. Every fight you have, you seem to be gathering more and more followers from the UK. What's your message to your supporters from overseas?
My message is to look out for me on Instagram and Facebook at Blair the Flair. And for more exciting content, look up BlairTheFlair.com. Woo! Nobody does it better, baby.
Nobody at all. Listen, Blair, it is always a pleasure, my friend. Congrats once again on the win, and we shall speak again real soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 202 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. A massive thank you to our two guests on this week's show, the world-class boxing trainer Peter Fury and the undefeated welterweight prospect Mr. Blair Cobbs. There has been one piece of news break whilst we've been recording the show. Friend of the show, Archie Sharp, he's had his next fight announced. It's going to be against Ireland's Declan Geraghty on September 27th on the undercard of Dubois vs. Tete at the Royal Albert Hall. The Prediction League is back this week. The current scoreboard reads myself in the lead, the reigning champion, on 14 points, while Ayaz and you, the listeners, are joint second place with 8 points. Best of luck with the predictions this weekend. Remember, there's going to be more t-shirt competitions happening very soon. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's show. Enjoy your weekends, people, and we shall see you all again next week.